comfortable.
Oh, this? Well, it's better than a gallstone. Did you ever have a gallstone, ma'am?
Welcome to episode 42 of the Columbo podcast, where we need around an hour of your time and we hope it won't be like passing gallstones.
Should be much less painful.
Yeah, it won't entail any time in the hospital.
Unless you're trying to be funny again.
Oh, that's a bit harsh, Ian.
Well, I'm just going by feedback from the listeners.
Nonsense. My humour is suitable for the podcast. It's gentle. If you'd let me off the leash one of these days with an explicit podcast, I'd give you what for. You'd hear some humour.
That's for a different day.
Yeah,
it's a different show.
Entirely different show. Enjoyable episode this week.
It was. It was very much like a remake of a previous episode.
Which one?
Double Exposure.
Why?
It was very, very similar with the movie reels and the slipping out between changes and running down the corridors of an office, and there's a lot of stuff that was borrowed from that one.
Another female killer?
Who reminded me a lot of Lee Grant in Ransom for a Dead Man.
Yes.
Same sort of confidence.
Powerful woman.
Yep.
No nonsense.
Not as powerful as she wants to be.
She's not.
But still, an executive.
Yes. And I think we see in this episode more examples of the producer Simmons' desire to provide backstory for not just Columbo, but the killer in each episode.
Flesh people out a wee bit. It gives us a bit more information. This was a longer episode. I don't think it needed to be quite as long as it was.
No, it's padded, isn't it? And it's 100 minutes.
There's bits of padding that make no sense. That add nothing.
There's one scene in particular that's like pulling teeth.
The opening scene was upsetting for me.
Really?
I mean, I get it's meant to be funny, but
you see, it
doesn't fit the tone of the rest of the episode.
Well, that's part of Simmons' desire to have Columbo having a more extravagant introduction to the episode. And I don't think that... Yeah, I agree with you. Interestingly, that was added in because they found that Columbo's, if it was just left to its natural place, Columbo's entrance would be a lot later in the episode than normal. Tell you what, before we start talking about the opening scene, why don't you give us this week's summary?
It is traditional. In Make Me a Perfect Murder, Los Angeles television executive Mark Mcandrews betrays his colleague and lover Kay Freestone, accepting a promotion and opting to end their relationship rather than having her join him in New York or promote her to the post he is vacating. Freestone retaliates with a perfectly planned and meticulously executed murder designed to maintain an ironclad alibi. Such hopes are rarely fulfilled when Lieutenant Columbo is assigned to a case, however, and Freestone soon finds her false narrative crumbling. As her alibi disintegrates, so seemingly does her career, as a string of bad decisions lead to her dismissal. With nothing to lose, can she evade the lieutenant, or has she reached the final reel?
A smashing introduction, Ian, to the episode, much like Lieutenant Columbo himself.
Oh, dear, this is what I was talking about. Your jokes.
What?
It's not good enough. We can't have this.
Nonsense. Yeah, so, as we mentioned at the top of the show, we're on the LA streets, and Columbo we see driving along and humming a few tunes.
There's hymns, and I think at one point it was Swing Low, Sweet Chariot was in there.
Yes, and My Darling Clementine.
Anyway, there's a call out over the radio about a reckless driver, and it's Columbo.
It is.
Because he's trying to fix his rear view mirror whilst driving.
In the middle of a high-speed police pursuit.
Yeah, and he ends up getting rear-ended by a cop car.
Not just rear-ended, he gets rear-ended and then pushed into another cop car.
Yeah, and learning from his experience in Mexico, in a matter of honour, he pretends that his neck is hurt.
Pretends, does he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Sure.
He keeps it going for a good part of the episode. But
then he gets bored of it.
He eventually just takes his collar off and forgets all about the fact it was ever sore.
That's it.
Probably his claim's in by then.
From this comedic introduction...
Which we should point out, like I mentioned, is completely out of keeping with what follows.
Yes. We go to a TV studio music editing suite.
It reminded me very much of the room from Etude in Black, where they were trialling a film.
We see a woman who we learn is the star of the show. She is a Kay Freestone.
Well, she's the star of our show. She's not the star of the show they're editing.
No.
She's from the network, and she's here to basically influence the studio guys, the production team, with the network's wishes.
She's
studio interference.
Very hands-on, isn't she?
Absolutely.
She's giving directions on score editing.
She's very specific in her requirements.
Yes.
But I think she likes the film.
She does. We move from there to the network office itself.
I think was it CNC, the company was called?
I think something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And
she returns to the office and joins a meeting.
Yes. The meeting involved a Mark Mcandrews, and he's having a meeting himself with two other nameless sort of execs, and they're talking about this movie, The Professional.
Which is the one that she was over checking on.
Kay leaves with the executives, and we hear Mark take a call from the sort of the network boss.
Well, she's asked a quick question. She's asked, is it worth seeing, and do I want to show it to Flanagan?
Yeah.
And she says yes and yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and then Kay leaves with these two executives, and Mark takes a call from the network boss, a Frank Flanagan. And he offers him a promotion.
In New York.
Basically heading up the entire network.
Yeah.
And Mark is quite obviously delighted.
Absolutely. He thinks it's a great opportunity, I believe.
Yes. We then head to his home, his beachfront home the next morning. That's Mark. He's on top of the world. And we see him place a set of car keys into a drink before his lover, we presume, arrives downstairs.
She's familiar.
Yep, we don't see immediately who it is, but we come to note that it is in fact Kay.
Yeah.
So he breaks the news that he's been promoted, and she's delighted for them.
Yeah, she thinks she's going with him.
She says, we did it. They're a team in business and in their private lives, apparently.
Yeah. You get the impression that they've been supporting one another professionally, as well as having a private relationship.
But he has other ideas. He wants her to stay in LA.
So she assumes that she's going to be promoted into his role.
Mm-hmm. But that's not the case.
No.
He says that she makes guesses, not decisions. But in time, she will learn. Quite patronising.
Yeah, essentially says she's not good enough for the job.
Yeah. She is angry and distraught.
Yeah, she very quickly gets herself dressed.
Yeah, she heads upstairs, and he follows her to try and explain, or certainly explain how he views the relationship.
Don't make it any tougher than it is.
Poor baby. Here I am worrying about myself. Poor precious Mark, suffering through the awful truth. Farewell, my dearest. The time has come. Great secret lovers. Super corporate team. But onward and upward. Whoop-de-doo.
Kay, in the end, all we really owe each other is a little bit of affection. Nobody was keeping tabs, were they? So much for overtime, so much for double time, so much for playtime. Kay, you want to sue me? Shoot me? That make you feel better? Right through the heart. Make me a perfect murder, babe.
That was a foolish thing to say.
Putting ideas into her head.
Absolutely.
Probably worth asking the question just now. Do we think that the relationship was a stepping stone for her as well? Do we think that she has been using him to further her career, and therefore because he's been portrayed as a bad guy in this scene, like he's all of a sudden just ditched her and doesn't care.
Yeah.
Now, if she is genuinely in love and it's only about the relationship,
I don't think she thinks that at all.
No.
I think if it had been the other way around, if she'd been offered a promotion over him, she'd have ditched him just as quickly.
Yeah, so we've not to feel too sorry for her in,
Don't think
in
we
this
feel sorry
situation.
for her at all. She's presumably got a lot of her anger from essentially being trumped here, or like being beaten to the punch.
Do you know what I think it is as well? It's not just the decision. I think she feels as if she has been made to look a fool. She has been played at her own game, so she perhaps has been trying to use him, and it transpires that she's been used.
It doesn't feel so good when, it's the other way around.
Yeah. He tries to lessen the blow by telling her about the Mercedes that he has bought for her.
I don't think she's in the mood to be assuaged at this point.
No, she certainly not. And we find out as well that no one else knows about this relationship.
Yeah.
And the scene ends as we see her stare at the gun, which is lying
Yeah,
on the
she's
bed.
definitely eyeing that up.
Yeah. Did you notice the score in this scene?
Didn't in that
Through
scene.
the entire episode, I think it's a reworking or perhaps reused score from Try and Catch Me.
Okay.
Mark Mcandrews was played by Lawrence Luckinbill. Do you like that name?
That's not a real name. That can't possibly be.
Why
It
not?
must be an equity name.
You think so?
Nobody's actually called Luckinbill.
Okay, it's a nice name. He was born in 1934. He has starred in Cocktail, Barnaby Jones, The Delphi Bureau. He was also in Star Trek V, which is what?
That's the one when they go to the edge of space.
What's it called? Star Trek V, the final front? Is that the final?
No, yeah, maybe the Final Frontier.
Oh, how did I know that?
Probably saw it in IMDb.
Could have. He was an Emmy winner for the Lucy and Daisy, or for Lucy and Daisy, a home movie. That may have been influenced by the fact that, or the project may have been influenced by the fact that he is in reality the son-in-law of Lucille Ball and Daisy Arnaz.
There you go.
Connection there. And I think I'm right in saying that Lucille Ball's production company was behind Star Trek.
Okay.
I think so. Not sure. Where do we go next?
Columbo's at the chiropractor.
He's in his tighty whities, his skimpies, isn't he? Never thought we'd see the day where Columbo's in a...
Showing off his six-pack.
Just about, yeah. He's obviously got himself in a little bit of shape after overindulging last week
Perhaps.
in the food. He doesn't look too bad for his age, I would have thought. What is he, late 40s at this point?
Yeah, that wouldn't be critical.
But I don't want to see Peter Falk in his pants, to be honest.
Some people do, though. You're not the only member of the audience.
No, some people might freeze frame that.
Perhaps.
Would you?
I didn't, no.
Okay, why not?
I only had a short period of time to get the whole episode watched.
It wasn't for that. If you had more time.
I may have considered it, you never know. Yeah.
This is one of the scenes that's purely padding.
There's no... Well, it's the same theme, this sore neck theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're carrying
Nothing
on.
would have been lost if this scene didn't exist.
No. It's almost like the two episodes where he had a cold, if we'd had an additional scenes showing pollen going up his nose and then
Yeah.
him counting his tissues or something. It's like... It's not necessary.
I mean, it's reasonably funny. He gets a physical massage
Yeah,
from...
he gets his neck cracked, but the crack's not satisfying enough for me. They need a better sound effect.
No. It's a very large, big, bald guy, isn't it? Who does this? An intimidating fellow.
Yes. Yeah, a strong
Yeah.
chiropractor.
He was played by an H.B. Haggerty, who died in 2004, aged 78. As a pro wrestler, the HB was Hard-Boiled Haggerty. That was his name, and he was a wrestler in the 50s and the 60s. He was in the Muppet movie, Paint Your Wagon, Foxy Brown, Adam 12, Fantasy Island, playing these sort of tough characters.
Right.
And apparently he was a defensive tackle for the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions.
There you go,
For two
NFC
seasons or
North
one
teams.
season or something like that.
Still?
Oh yeah. We move on from the massage parlour to Kay's home.
Yeah, I thought it was Mark's home, but it's Kay's home. She is voicing a countdown on her recording, where she's listening to herself.
It's effectively just a bit of exposition so that we know what she's planning here. So she's recorded her voice counting down from 4 minutes or something like that, and we see her snap off the aerial or antenna from her radio.
She's obviously been working on a plan. This isn't something spur of the moment. She's got this recording prepared, so she knows exactly what she intends to do.
But that's odd, isn't it? Because why would she have been killing her lover and her business partner until...
Well, I think this is one of those times where you don't know how much time has passed. So it may be many hours that she's had since being at work that she's been thinking about this.
Mm-hmm. We go to the network office. Kay arrives on her floor, and she's in a very determined mood. She sort of ignores some people who say good morning to her, etc. And she tells her assistant Jonathan that she needs the Clay Gardner demographics for the morning.
Before that, we see her in the lift using the aerial to kind of jimmy the roof of the lift to show that it'll open up.
It does.
Which will play out later.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, she then gets her junior to work up demographics for the next morning. This is something that we saw in Old Fashioned Murder, where the killer requires a witness.
Yes.
So they arrange for someone to be there when they otherwise wouldn't be.
Yes. We hear reference to this Clay Gardner. Apparently he's a movie star which the network want to sign up. And some of them are unsure about, I think, $7 million contract or something. They're a bit unsure. eventually they decide to sign him up.
I don't know if he's a real person or not. I know the last time we had these conversations it was Rock Hudson that got mentioned, but this one maybe it wasn't so familiar.
No. We go to the meeting room in the office. We see Flanagan and Mark and some other executives having a meeting when Kay enters.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if Flanagan had come from New York or if he was never in New York, he was on the phone from somewhere else at the start of the episode.
Yeah, I suppose these executives, it only takes a few hours to fly across, so if it was the next day, he might have flown across in the red eye or whatever. But Kay shows them into a little cinema.
Yeah, and as she's leaving, Mark pulls her aside to check she really is fine.
Mm-hmm. She claims
No, she shows him she really is.
Mm-hmm. And she enters the projection booth to screen this copy of the Professional.
This is where I first got that feeling from Double Exposure again with the reels and the film.
Well, pretty much identical in terms of being a sort of plot or a clue device here. The changing of reels and both.
Same as in Forgotten Lady.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
Wouldn't work with a new digital system.
Certainly not. In the booth, we then find a chap called Walter, who's doing all we can say is a racial stereotype as he delivers a heavy-handed piece of exposition about how he will, or how the reels work. That's for our benefit.
Yeah.
Did you recognise Flanagan?
Yes.
Where did you recognise Flanagan from?
Season 1, Blueprint for Murder.
Episode
7, 6, however many there were.
Last one, because it was the whole cigar thing.
Yeah, it was the last one, I can't remember how many there were.
Yeah, so we've met him before and we've discussed him in more detail in that episode.
And he had a bigger role in that episode anyway.
Yeah. Good actor. Enjoy him.
He was good in this.
He plays that sort of boss, that arrogant,
Yeah, handles it well.
He does handle it very well. So what happens next?
Mark's gone back to his office and he's relaxing with a pipe and a paper, and there's a security guard doing some checks, and Jonathan's working the demographics that he's been asked to work on.
Yeah. Well, I think you've been a little bit unfair there to Mark. I don't think he's having a paper and a pipe. I think he's reading a script.
You think it's a script?
He's
still like a newspaper to me.
No, I think it's a script. He's still working, I reckon.
Yeah, certainly he got shot through a script. So, well, certainly, the note I had was it was a paper, but certainly at some point he had a script, whether it was immediately or not.
Yep. And we have different sort of cuts between the sort of cinema area, the movie booth, and all these sort of things are going on.
Yeah, and at this point, Kay puts her plan into motion.
Yes, as Walter has a model ship which he's building
randomly in the projection room.
Although I suppose if that's your job, you have got massive periods of sort of downtime.
I don't think that would work. If I brought a jigsaw into my work and just started playing with it, it's like, well, this is my hobby. I'm going to do this jigsaw at lunchtimes.
I don't know. I think what are you going to do? What are you expected to do between reel changes? Your job is whenever someone wants you to set it up, you do it, and then you stand about and you
be available.
That's the thing. I think as long as he does the changes correctly, no one's going to bother too much about what he gets up to.
Anyway, he's sent away to get other potential reels for the group to watch.
Yes. Now, what Kay does is she reduces the countdown counter so that he thinks
this is never going to work. Same as it was never going to work and didn't make sense that it did work in Forgotten Lady.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't affect the length of the film.
Well, that's why. That's one of the sort of gotcha moments.
Yeah, it is, but it's bizarre that Walter doesn't realise, because he leaves with this showing 2 minutes and he comes back and it's showing just under 9.
Yeah.
So he must surely thought, well, hang on, it goes to 9 when it's changed.
But would he know this new movie when it should be changed? It won't be the same for every movie.
No, but he knows it's meant to be changed 2 minutes after he was leaving the room.
Yeah.
And he knows that when it's changed, the clock's reset to 9. Mm-hmm. So surely when he came back, he would notice that the timer hadn't gone down much from 9, so it must have only just been changed.
Yeah, I mean,
but he misses it.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that because we're not quite on to him coming back yet.
Yeah, so she sends him off on an errand to get these additional reels for test reels, actually. It's for this actor, Clay Gardner. And she says she'll do the change. As soon as he leaves, she starts her plan. So she has her recorded voice telling her, counting down.
Little headphones.
I don't know why a watch wouldn't have sufficed, or a stopwatch, why she had to record her own voice saying how long it takes. It's a bit, really for our benefit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we can create tension by hearing this countdown.
Yeah. She goes to Mark's office.
Yes.
He sees her.
Yep. And she enters just as the phone is ringing.
Right.
A phone call comes through, which is answered by Jonathan, the assistant in another room.
Yeah.
He looks up, he's got his glasses on his head and recognises her outline.
And he's like, are you finished already?
Yep. She confirms that she is. And what happens?
Well, then she shoots him.
Dead.
He sees her raise the gun, but if I was her and this was my reason for killing, I would want him to take longer to savour the fact he was about to be shot.
Yeah, I would have said something
I
else.
think a quick killing lacks satisfaction if it's really revenge that you're after.
Yeah, but I suppose her plan doesn't give her too much time to mess around, does it?
No, that's true.
And we see that she's wearing a latex glove as she shoots the gun,
Yes.
but she's taken from the
Projectionist room, yes. That's similar to in Troubled Waters with the
yes.
one from Sickbay.
Jonathan hears this shot when he's on the phone, and he sort of comes through to try and to see what's going on. She misses him. She moves around the other side, the other door,
Yeah.
and using the antenna that she has brought with her, she hides a gun in the elevator plastic
above the roof of the lift.
ceiling. Yeah, before she retraces her steps and is almost caught by.
Well, she's held up. She can't get back to the projection because a security guard wanders past, picks up a magazine and starts staring at the centrefold.
So she's got a very strict time frame, and
starting
she's
to
under a bit
panic.
of pressure.
And this causes a critical error.
Security guard, did you recognise him?
Did I?
Recognise the security guard?
Did I?
Mike Lally.
I thought it was Mike Lally, but I didn't want to commit.
We didn't mention last week either, at the market seller, the fruit seller, was also Mike Lally.
Yeah. No, I was pretty sure that was Mike Lally, but I was just only about 75% there.
She gets back with seconds to spare.
Yeah, but she doesn't even have time to take her glove off.
No, she drops that beside the projector,
And then forgets it or something. I don't know.
and she makes a real change.
You'd have thought she could have shoved it in her pocket or in a bag or just held it in her ball in her fist or
Yeah.
something.
Walter walks in the door and she plays it cool. Everything's fine.
Yeah, the real change is done.
We then see Flanagan get some news and calls her in to the cinema.
Jonathan's there.
Yeah, so
So obviously we know what's
we've discovered the body.
clearly.
We're back in Mark's office and it's now the crime scene.
Yep, Kay comes out a lift and says she's going to just get on with her work that day. This is obviously the next day.
She's offered some sympathy and condolences from colleagues.
Yeah, and she's told by her assistant that the police want her right now.
So she's into Mark's room and she is shocked at the scene of Columbo lying on Mark's couch, just like Mark was before she shot him.
Once again,
He knows.
it's a bit like in Bye Bye Sky High where they chucked the guy up where the body had been.
Mm-hmm.
It seems unreasonable.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a huge coincidence for Columbo just to select that position, to wear the glasses and to be reading the script as she
He's looking for
walks
her
in.
reaction. He's probably looking through the bullet hole in the script to see what she does.
Yeah. So he gets up and he IDs himself.
In fact, yeah, he quite blatantly asks her then to stand in the right position and pretend she's holding a gun and all this sort of stuff.
Yes. Before that, she asks if she can help and he says, no, it's just whiplash.
Yeah, sure. He's wearing a neck brace.
But I like that. There's two instances of that where he pretends that he thinks they're referring to his...
Yeah, and we know particularly from Fade Into Murder, that he knows exactly what he's doing in these circumstances.
Yeah. So he asks her to effectively reenact the murder.
Yeah, he talks about his father's glasses as well, a bit more
Yep.
background there.
Yeah, how in his youth, everything that was bad for your eyes, or everything was bad for your eyes.
Yeah,
Wearing mittens, I think, or not wearing mittens was bad for your eyes.
you go blind.
You do. Columbo then has problems locating a piece of paper which he found on Mark's desk.
Yeah, that'll come back into it a wee bit later on. Mm-hmm. But he does this thing that I talked about where he makes her walk in the room again and pretend to point a pistol at him.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes an unusual comment at this point.
What's that?
He says, "We haven't found the weapon. We think it may still be on the premises." Why would it still be on the premises?
Yeah.
There's no reason to think that.
Yeah, he also says that, I can't remember if this scene or another scene, but he mentions the fact that they've got excellent security, so definitely no one was able to get in or out. Now, if you consider some of the convoluted crimes that people have set up, you can't just simply say, yep, no one can get in or out.
Yeah.
You know, that could easily have been part of the plan.
Absolutely.
But they just accept that, so it's definitely someone in the...
And everyone's got an alibi. Kay wants to show Columbo something.
what's that?
She takes him through to his office, to her office, and Flanagan's there and they start waving an Emmy around.
Is that an Emmy?
Pretty sure there's an Emmy.
You sure?
Pretty sure.
Okay, there you go.
That's what it looks like. I wondered if it was one that Columbo had won.
Yeah. There are certainly some of the stars of this episode who have won Emmys, so you would think that rather than mock one up, unless of course the prop department just has them lying around at Universal Studios.
Yeah. I read something, I mean, we had an episode, season 3, 4, where they had Oscars in. It was the fashion, or the designer.
Yeah, she had about 9 of them.
Yeah. And I was wondering, maybe just people just acquire old Oscars, but you can't do that apparently.
No.
One of the academies has the right to buy a statue back for $10. If you're wanting to sell it, they've got a right of first refusal.
So that's why you would never see one on eBay.
Yeah, or folk might try, but they're breaching
Yeah.
the contractual right of the academy to reacquire it for
Never
that
knew
small price, because it shows that it doesn't have a resale value.
Sure. Interesting.
Yeah. And what she really... Well, before she gets a chance to show Columbo what she wants to show him, Flanagan promotes her into Mark's position temporarily.
Yes.
And says that locking down Clay Garden's a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And then leaves. And then Columbo is shown a file full of death threats.
Yeah, just before, that's the other piece of comedy, before he leaves, he wishes Columbo good luck with the case, but Columbo thinks he means with his whiplash injury.
Or pretends he thinks that.
And he just sort of Flanagan just sort of looks and shakes his head and walks away. Contempt, I think he...
Columbo's keeping them off guard.
Yeah. So what does Kay want to show Columbo?
It's a file full of dozens of death threats that have been sent.
Crank letters, death threats from all sorts of different types of
Yeah,
groups.
no matter what they put on the network, they're offending somebody.
I'm sure that's quite accurate. I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
We get at least 5 death threats per episode.
Yeah.
On this, and I quite enjoy them.
Well, sometimes, depending whether they're written in green ink or not.
Yeah, and delivered through to my home address.
By hand.
Yeah, that's not quite as good.
No.
I don't mind that DM.
I don't like those
I don't
ones.
a Twitter one, it's alright. So,
Columbo's not interested in the death threats.
No.
He's ruled it out before he's even read them.
yes. And we have an explanation as to this logic.
Yeah.
Why is there no doubt about it?
We know the angle of the bullet, ma'am. We know that the murderer didn't shoot from the door. He entered the office. I'd say he was 18 feet in by the time he pulled the trigger.
Why couldn't a stranger be 18 feet into a room?
Well, let me put it to you this way, ma'am. If you were alone in a room at night, lying on a couch, and a stranger entered, wouldn't you take a good look at him? Wouldn't you want to see what he looked like?
Yes.
That's the point, ma'am. Mr. Mcandrews didn't bother to take a really good look. It's these glasses, ma'am. He had them up here on his forehead when he was shot, when the murderer came into the room. So Mr. Mcandrews must have known exactly who that person was, or he would have pushed him down like this. Because with these type corrections, ma'am, these bifocals, this is the only way that Mr. Mcandrews could see his killer. If the killer was a stranger, that is, which it couldn't have been. But I'll keep your theory in mind.
I love that last little line. It's like, your theory's garbage, but I'll keep it in mind.
Yeah. Again, it's another example of his confidence in how he is happy to dismiss and be a little bit more
In the
overt.
early seasons, he would be more deferential. And he'd be like, it's always good to get help, thank you very much.
Yes, exactly. But now he's quite happy to dismiss offhand.
Yeah. Or, blatant sarcasm right in their face.
Yeah. We then have a nice little end to this scene as he talks about this tiny little voice he gets in his head telling him to look at things and question things.
And she takes note of this.
Yeah. He said he's going to look and listen. We go back to the projection booth and...
It's good because Walter's explaining things to Columbo that he already had explained to him.
Yes. He's talking about the sort of blip and the real change in how it works again.
Yeah.
And he gives a demonstration.
He's not using the coin trick.
No, he's not. It's a new machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, new technology. Walter shows him his model boat that he is building and he confirms Kay changed the reels last night during the professional.
Yeah, and Columbo asks if she did a splice job and
Yeah.
Walter thinks, no. Why would you think that?
And he says, well, what about this latex glove? She must have used that. And he says, no, that's my glove. That's for the glue on my boat.
Yeah. But Columbo finding that glove at this point, I've noted, case solved.
Yeah.
I don't like the way that he tricks Walter into letting him take it.
By inventing a nephew.
Yeah, why did he need to do that? Why don't you say, well, I'm going to take this and have it checked?
Yeah. Who knows? It's a nice little backstory. Again, it's giving us more...
And I think this is
more
one of his old style family stories that's not true.
Is this not the same nephew who was going to be an accountant?
Possibly. How many nephews can he have?
A lot. A big, massive family, in fact, he tells us.
Yeah.
Walter He was played by
I found him to be a familiar face.
James McKeachin.
Okay.
You say familiar. Do you mean in the Columbo universe or in general?
I wasn't certain, but you're going to fill me in, I'm sure.
Okay. He's a very prolific actor, so you may well have seen him in lots of shows on TV. But we have met him before in Columbo.
Okay.
Small role. He was in Etude in Black. I think he played, again, the director or the stage manager.
Was he the guy at the door when they came in?
I think, yes, that might
He
have
was
been
sitting
him.
at the table.
I can't remember, but yeah, he was.
And they said, has he come in yet? And he's like, he's sleeping in his room.
Yeah. I think that was him. He was born in 1930. He starred in Play Misty for Me, Every Which Way But Loose, and Sudden Impact. So,
Okay.
3 movies with Clint Eastwood there.
There you go.
He's also been in a number of my favourite crime genre TV shows, including Matlock, Perry Mason, Murder, She Wrote, Hill Street Blues, Father Dowling, T.J. Hooker, Rockford Files, Adam 12, Ironside, and, as we said, an episode or 2 of Columbo.
He must have been very familiar to you then.
Oh, all the time. He was in a great episode of Murder, She Wrote. I've told you before, I think, mentioned it, with the very famous now Bruce Jenner.
Yes.
Who was one of the stars in this, or the main star in this, and it was an episode about American football.
There you go.
Good episode. So Kay arrives, and Columbo informs her that the test reels, she's looking for the test reels that she brought down.
Yeah, I think she's really looking for the glove, but
Yeah.
she's left it far too long.
Columbo tells her that they have already been returned to the shipping department as he spoke to the man in charge. And I think she's a little bit taken aback because now she knows that he's asking questions and
Definitely.
she's getting worried.
And as she then leaves, he catches up with her.
In the corridor, and for the first time really, he plays dumb. He says he's got an awkward question for her. And she says, well, no, it's okay, you can ask me, it's your job.
He wants to know what Mark did all day.
Yes.
She essentially says, firefighting.
Yeah, but what he's asking her here, the question actually is that he knows that Flanagan had already confirmed or approved the signing of Clay Gardiner. So, why was she wanting to show extra test footage to him?
I think she can cover that because they hadn't committed to that at the point when she ordered the footage. It was still, they were trying to decide on Clay Gardiner, as far as she was aware.
No.
I don't think they were committed to Clay Gardiner right at the start of this
Are
episode.
you sure?
I'm
But
pretty
we might
sure
not-
the talk was,
Yeah, but
are we going for Clay Gardiner?
Sure, but I'm assuming we've missed something because Columbo has confirmed with Flanagan that he has given his approval, and she accepts that as well. And she said, which I think is actually a fair enough response, she says, yeah, I asked the same question. I was unsure, but I was only following orders.
Yeah.
He says, whose orders? And
Mark's.
Mark Mcandrews, and conveniently,
He's not there to deny it.
and it wasn't a written order, it was a verbal order.
Oh, it would be.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you write that down?
So again, this is more suspicions, or another suspicion of Columbo's here, isn't it?
Sure.
But as you rightly say, Columbo asks what Mark and her are actually doing. She says firefighting. They've got an example of this firefighting. What is it?
Well, she takes with her. They're going down to set because the director's got a problem with the star of an upcoming live performance.
Yeah, it's a Valerie.
Yeah, who's apparently a friend of Kate's.
Yeah, we get the impression that Valerie is from perhaps a period of Hollywood that's no longer exists. So she was maybe a singer and a dancer back 20 years ago.
Yeah, she's struggling with the pressure of the live performance,
She
the
is.
impending live performance.
And we understand that because of this, she has issues with drink and drugs and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, there's certainly a number of references to whether she's sober.
She has stage fright.
Well, possibly. Or maybe she just has this complete lack of confidence in herself.
Columbo then goes into the director's booth.
Yeah, I got the feeling here that he's trying to get a bit of insight into Kay's character. He's asking other people about her.
Mm-hmm. But what we do have is a scene of incredible padding. One that always stands out for me of every single
When he gets to
episode.
the 7th button, it just feels
The thing is that he's left alone and he decides that he will just start. I mean, he wouldn't know if this is going to set things live or
Yeah.
delete things or whatever.
Absolutely. And
And also, he presses all these buttons and he gets really dreadful graphics. Now, maybe back in 78 this would have been impressive, right? But it's terrible now.
It looks like an old school screensaver
Yeah.
that you would get on like your Mac Classic or whatever.
Yeah. But here's the thing, he presses these buttons now, and we get a soundtrack to go along. We get a score that goes along with it. But that score would not have been played in the director's, so that wouldn't have come through. He wouldn't have been hearing this. This has been added, obviously overdubbed for our benefit.
He's just seen the lights.
He's just seen these little lights and just continues to press buttons. Point being,
It goes, even if you're going to allow that, it goes on 2 or 3 presses too many.
far too many.
He seems to enjoy it though.
Mm-hmm. But it's a annoying
The
scene.
note I've got, not sure of purpose of this scene, goes on a bit.
Yeah.
They go into the dressing room where Kay is going to speak to Valerie.
Valerie is a nervous wretch.
She looks very upset but claims that she's clean.
Yeah. She seems quite dependent on Kay.
Kay seems to be able to buck her up though.
Yeah,
and she goes back to the set. She seems a bit happier.
Yes, the crew are shocked and delighted that Kay has managed to get Valerie back on the set to perform, but this is actually going to lead to her eventual downfall.
Well, I think that the whole decision to go with Valerie in the first place is a mistake, and she's doubling down on that mistake. And her reputation is now in Valerie's hands.
As Mark stated at the beginning, she has made a guess here, hasn't she? She's guessed that it'll be okay.
I don't even know it's a guess. I think she's just hoping at this point. She doesn't want to let her friend down or fire her friend, essentially.
Yeah. The next scene is quite unusual, isn't it?
It's weird. I don't get it.
It's a rundown house. It looks like a Michael Myers Halloween type house.
It's really creepy. It looked a little bit like the shack from Negative Reaction,
Yeah.
but worse.
Kay enters and she lights a candle. She looks around and is shocked to see Columbo appear from the shadows in his neck brace. No.
She sees the neck brace on the worktop.
Yes, and Columbo appears and startles her.
And this is the end of the neck brace, thankfully.
I think Peter Fox just said, listen guys,
This is ridiculous.
it was a bit funny at the start, but I can't wear this the whole episode here. I'm taking this off, okay? He said, no, Peter, you need to keep it on. He says, who's the star of the show?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I said, right, okay, take it off.
That's it. What would have been funny is if they'd had dog in a collar as well. The two of them.
Yeah, that in fact, that would have been funny, yes. Yes, they should have. So, the house we find out is Kay's childhood home. And then her and Columbo sit down and have a little chat, and we find out a little bit more about Columbo's upbringing.
She tells him he's very attractive without his collar, and there's a bit of information
A
going on.
bit weird.
You know, I always knew this place was small, but I never realized it was quite this tiny. 4 of us cramped in here. Never a chance to be alone.
I took a trip a few years ago. Took Mrs. Columbo back to the house where I grew up. It looked all shrunken. I had 5 brothers and 1 sister, Miss Freestone, and that was really terrific. There was always someone around for company. We were never lonely.
You're a very special man, Lieutenant. You accept things as they are. I try to change them.
That's to your credit, man. Your success and ambition and all. Now I'm supposed to ask you questions about all that.
You're supposed to?
Well, nobody told me to, but that's the way I'm supposed to do my job. It's certainly not personal.
Whenever anyone says it's not personal, that's exactly when it's very personal.
You get the feeling in this scene that there's almost a connection between them. I think they lose that before the end of the episode.
Do you think she's trying to create the connection?
Well, she says she finds him attractive. She gets information about his family, about his 5 brothers and his sister, and then she starts to rub his shoulders. And then he starts directing the massage, telling her where to rub and how hard and all this stuff, and it's a little bit creepy. And then he asks her if she would have got her new job if Mark were alive, and she doubts it, which is important.
And Columbo's confused by this because he has spoken to Flanagan, who says he was happy with the appointment and he wouldn't have had the problem.
Yeah, but so clearly Mark is the one that would have had the problem with it. But he doesn't think she's a suspect because of this. He doesn't think wanting a job is a motive for murder.
I totally disagree with Columbo on this. People will kill for a little bit of money. I mean, if she's saying that a job isn't a reason to kill, you'd as well saying therefore that money isn't a reason to kill.
Yeah, he might be playing her here.
He might be, yeah.
He says he thinks she's clear so long as all she had with Mark was a business relationship. Now, why would he mention that?
Sure, but I still think he believes what he's saying.
Yeah.
I think he understands that there might be a relationship there, and you're right, he's playing her. But why would that connection have to be in place? I think that some sort of, executive job within a studio, let's just say you're even on, I don't know what, equivalent today of £250,000 or something, over the course of...
Yeah.
It could be millions of pounds over will be millions of pounds but with possible future promotion and greater wealth. So that job is worth millions, and people certainly kill for that.
Yeah, sure. He's found his note.
Yes, what's on the note?
It says K 280 450, which is circled, 240 230. And he thinks there's a pattern, but Kay can't help, and she doesn't think the K refers to her.
No,
he goes into that wee bit of far too much dialogue about how, but your name is Catherine and they call you Kay.
And she says, maybe it just means Kay.
Yeah.
So we go back to the projection booth, and Columbo chats with Burke about
how he cured his neck.
Yeah, he talks about a needle in the nose and all this type of stuff.
Yeah, but mostly he slept with the window shut. There's no draft. He's better. Yeah. He's basically giving his wife the credit for fixing it.
Yep. He then chats to Walter, and he asks if he can do a changeover. Again, this is another scene, isn't it?
He lies to Walter. He says he gave the glove to his nephew.
Yes. Well, we assume he lies. Maybe he did.
No, he didn't, because he's using it as evidence later in the episode.
Yeah, well, maybe he took it back off his nephew. Give me that.
Yeah. He wants to try this real change and he can't do it.
Yeah. So again, that whole chat about needles in the nose, the trying the real change, is padding. There's another 3 or 4 minutes there that we could have lost and brought this down to a 73-minute mark.
There's nothing there that adds anything to the story, I don't think.
Back out in the corridor, Burke arrives and he has some news, but again, we don't hear what the news is.
No, we don't, which is annoying.
Mm-hmm. We go to the beach house.
He finds broken glass.
Yeah, it's the glass that the keys were in.
Yeah.
Doesn't really prove anything at all.
No, and then the doorbell goes.
Delivery man has got some laundry, which Columbo accepts.
It's a dry cleaner returning a suit. Columbo goes to walk away, then suddenly he has an epiphany.
And he dramatically rips open the cover.
Even though it was see-through and the information he needed was visible.
Mm-hmm. We don't know, it doesn't explain
It doesn't explain it here, but we get it later on.
So we go to Kay's office and she takes a call.
Valerie's missing.
Disappeared.
Could be anywhere, but then Valerie calls while she's on the phone.
Yep. Secretary explains this and tells her that Valerie is at her house.
Yeah, but by the time she goes to take that call, Valerie's off the line. So she skedaddles. She's on her way there.
Mm-hmm. She finds Val basically out of her face and looking terrible. She's acting erratically and is extremely emotional and is falling all over the place.
And Kay blows the biggest decision she's had to make in her new position.
Which is?
She cancels Valerie's show, fair enough, had to do that, and replaces it with the premiere of The Professional, a show they've just spent a lot of money on.
Acquiring, yes.
It's being aired at 2 hours' notice with no promo, no warning, no audience.
Yeah, even we could see that this is a poor decision.
It's immediately obvious that that's going to be a bad idea. You put a repeat of something on.
Mm-hmm. Before we leave this scene, did you recognise the actress who played Valerie?
She looked very, very familiar, but possibly from when she was older.
Yeah, Lainey Kazan, born in 1940, you might have, or she's probably most famous in this country for her role in My Big Fat Greek Wedding. She was also in Beaches, the neighbour in Harry and the Hendersons. She's been in Desperate Housewives, The Nanny, and she is a very accomplished jazz singer. She was the understudy to Barbra Streisand in the musical Funny Girl.
Okay.
In 1970, she appeared in an issue of Playboy, and perhaps from that appearance, she developed a business partnership with Hugh Hefner, who set up jazz clubs in order to promote her singing career.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Wonder what Hugh Hefner got out of that.
Who knows?
Profits.
Satisfaction and a smile on his face.
They move on to a scene that I found very interesting.
Interesting? Why?
Because it's a TV stop. There's a TV repairman working on Columbo's telly.
Columbo arrives with a dog.
With dog, to collect his TV that he was promised. But it turns out it's actually an old friend of Columbo's in a new job.
He's moonlighting.
I thought he's been fired. It looks like it's Bruce Kirby, and clearly he's playing the same character.
It's Kramer.
Yeah,
Sergeant Kramer.
He must be off the force after Last Salute.
Yeah.
And that's understandable that he would be the fall guy.
Yeah, last looks like... Yes, after all of that, after that shouting and that nonsense, he has thought to himself, maybe he wasn't fired, maybe he just thought, nah,
maybe they teamed him with Albinski and he thought, I'm not having this.
Yep, I'm setting up a
TV repair shop. Which is understandable, and he seems to be good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And the TV's on while he's working on it, which doesn't seem very safe. But anyway,
yeah.
Columbo picks up some information. He sees that Valerie's not performing, or he's told that Valerie's not performing because it should be on now on this channel.
Mm-hmm.
But instead it's a film Columbo recognises. It's The Professional.
Yep, and he watches, and as he does, he discovers something.
He sees about 1 minute of this, and it happens to be the critical minute that solves the case.
Listen, you always need a little bit of help, a bit of luck and police work.
Fortunate. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
But
TV cuts out, so he doesn't watch anymore.
We're back to Kay's office, and Jonathan is giving Kay some very bad news. The overnight ratings are in.
It's terrible. The Professional
Dreadful.
bombed, and no wonder. That was a bad decision.
No one knew it was coming on, or knew anything about it. Yeah.
Well, how would they?
There was no... Yeah, they wouldn't.
They're back at the office. Kay's there, and Columbo appears, and...
It's night time now.
Yeah, he wants to know whether she found Mark attractive. He's got a reason for this line of questioning.
Yeah, well, firstly, he asks about her knowledge of any relationships that Mark may have had.
Yeah, he's essentially taunting her here because he knows the answer.
Yeah, but she still insists that she knows nothing.
He's trapping her in the lie.
And she admits that she found Mark attractive, and also him in his own...
But each of them in their own way.
Because I was at Mr. Mcandrews' house yesterday, the beach house, and some cleaning was delivered. Some slacks in this blazer. And that's the problem, ma'am. This blazer. You see, I noticed that the buttons are on the wrong side. It buttons right over left. The wrong side for a man's jacket, that is, because this is a woman's blazer. There's a tailor's label in it. And I checked on that. This jacket was made for you. It's your jacket. Would you like to try it on?
No.
Well, since you were sending your cleaning out from Mr. Mcandrews' house, I can only assume...
All right, Lieutenant. You've done very good work. You've caught me in a lie.
I would say so, ma'am. Yes.
They then leave the office to get in the lift.
Yeah. I mean, he's tricked her again there, or tricked someone.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit more proactive than we're used to.
Yeah, in the lift he's tricking once more.
Mm-hmm.
She notices the gun sitting on the lit panel, so you can clearly see its outline.
I mean, what they've done is they've decided to talk tomorrow. It's late, so they're going to leave.
Yeah.
In the elevator, she looks up, sees the shadow of the gun, which she assumes has become dislodged.
What she doesn't realise is that Columbo's put that there, having found the original gun and replaced it with a duplicate.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, he knows what's going to happen.
Yes. So they get to the bottom. The park company. She says she's forgot to make a phone call and is going to return upstairs.
Yeah.
She then starts to panic as she finds it hard to retrieve the gun from up there.
Yeah, it takes her a long time. It's another padded scene, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay because it's creating the tension.
Why didn't you just lift the panel the gun was sitting on and let it slide through?
Would that little aerial be strong enough to do that? And is she tall enough?
Don't know.
She eventually gets it.
Later on, she leaves the office.
Yes.
And there's a new car being delivered. It's the one that Mark had ordered for her.
Ah, yeah, but before that, we missed a point there. Columbo tells her that he has worked out that the list, the numbers he had on the piece of paper,
they were
was
cars.
car model numbers.
Yeah. Anyway, and as we say, that car was there when she goes to leave, but she refuses to accept the keys. She says she knows nothing about
She
it.
panics, doesn't she? She gets in her own car and she screeches away.
Yeah, tires squealing, dramatic music, throws the gun in a drain. She's on her way to a carnival set.
Yeah, that throw was quite risky, wasn't it? Quite chancy. She sort of just opened it and chucked it out.
Well, I think it's a drain.
Yeah,
under the
but
curb.
how could you be sure that you would make that throw? And if it doesn't, then you have to stop the car, go and retrieve a gun. And then how do you know that there's not blockage, in that particular drain that would prevent it from going down? I would have taken it somewhere else, disposed of it, way out of harm's way, not throwing it out of a car 2 minutes from my studio.
Yeah, maybe.
But-
She arrives at the set anyway,
Yeah.
without further incident.
Flanagan is arrives and he invites her to talk in his limo.
Well, she's working. She adjusts a script and she gives some instruction,
Yeah.
and then Flanagan summons her, and this is a big moment.
Firstly, he reprimands her for putting a professional on in place of the Valerie
First
show.
of all, he says he's upset her for having Valerie involved up to the last minute, not firing her when the director said she should.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to let that go. But he's not going to let go of the fact that the professionals was used. They only had the right to show it twice. It was very expensive, and they've wasted one.
Yeah.
Um,
He tells her he questions her taste and decision to move into a dead man's death so quickly.
yeah, he's not going to let either of those things
No.
go, so she's fired.
Yeah, he was quite angry. He says the role was temporary. She tries to justify it. I need the space. The office comes with the position. And
Yeah.
he says, again, he sort of makes her feel small and belittles her here and stupid, doesn't he? He says, no, the job was temporary. You had no right to assume
Yeah.
that this was your position. And as you rightly say, when you say he fires her, it's not like clear your desk. They're going to
End of the
manage
month.
her out,
Yep.
and try and make it as easy as possible for her, and not humiliate her.
She's got a stiff upper lip there.
Yes, she actually acts very professionally here. She says, I accept I'm quite tough, and what I hope to do is prove you wrong, and
You want me back.
you want me back in the future. And he appreciates that, says, I hope so.
Yeah.
So it's fairly good terms. And I think if you make that decision in that role, in that job, in that industry, I think you know what comes with the territory. You make a big booby like that, you get your jaws.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not even like it was made for a good reason. It was a panic.
Yeah.
It wasn't a guess that this will be good.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't thinking, oh, I know what will be really good. It's just, this is the only thing she could think
Yeah.
of.
I think as well that she might be just so relieved that she's found the gun and get shot of that this job is not, it's not her main concern right now. She's fearing that she's about to be caught for murder. So
Yeah.
she's like, okay, I can deal with this. I've got a month. I'll probably get a new job. Keep in good terms, and it'll work itself out. Flanagan leaves. She tries to leave, but she sees the arrival of Columbo. She doubles back to avoid him and goes into a director's booth. Or
Yeah. Columbo arrives, the rest of the cast and crew are off on a drinks break, but there's like a carousel going around and music playing. They're obviously not concerned about the use of electricity there.
No, it creates an atmosphere.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. It's like something out of a horror film.
Yeah. And we see Kay, she's inside the control booth and she's shaking a little bit, and
Yeah.
she lights a cigarette.
Columbo addresses her just randomly shouting, and she replies through the sort of
Monitors. And
the monitor
sound
sound system. And he insists that it can't wait till tomorrow. She really wants to put him off, and she's quite adamant, but he won't have it.
Yeah, he wants to talk about the 450 CL car.
And she just freaks out and starts pushing random buttons, which gives a really interesting visual effect.
It does. There's lots of weird cuts between the two of them, and we see her sort of start to unravel and
I think
break
this
down
is
here.
this is representing her state of mind.
Yeah, because she knows what she's doing, so she's randomly pressing buttons like Columbo would.
Yeah.
So it's fairly highlights her state of mind, as you say.
He finds her, she goes to leave the booth, and he's at the door coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And he lets her know he's realised that the car was a cheerio, see you later gift from Mark.
Yes, he really puts that proposition to her. She doesn't really respond.
Yeah.
Columbo then talks about the professional. He says that he's got a copy of it on tape, and he plays this tape.
Yeah, there's a critical moment. The moment that he saw in the TV repair shop and that Walter saw when he returned from collecting the extra reels.
Yes. So he points out the cue blips.
Yep.
And the suicide shot. Now, Walter had mentioned that when he came back in, this was what he was faced with, this particular shot.
Yeah. Columbo's not seen this whole movie. How do you know there's not another suicide in it?
Yeah. Again, I think we can assume that he has checked this. He's asked if there's, he's watched the movie and asked about it.
Yeah. Columbo also produces the glove with the powder burns.
Mm-hmm. But Kay says that Walter must have been confused, first of all.
Yeah, she tries to fob it off, but
Yeah.
Columbo's not having that right now.
Yeah, because...
Well, this is an interesting one. She doesn't end up breaking down here.
No, she says that he must be confused because Walter himself checked the counter.
Yeah.
But Columbo says, nah, you fooled him with that,
Yeah.
that counter.
Anyway, yeah, he's found the glove with the powder burns. He's found the gun, and this is the big reveal.
Yeah.
It was a fake gun in the elevator. The police had put it there, knowing that she would try and get it.
Yes, I mean, it effectively describes the crime, what she did.
Yeah.
And as you said, he explains how he's been quite deceptive as well.
There's a weird moment with a camera pointing into the lift, showing the gun there, and then when she gets out, the gun's not
Yeah.
there. What was the camera doing while she was in there?
It wasn't in there. It was a handheld camera. It wasn't CCTV. So they've basically just documented what they've done. So they've been in and said, look, there's nothing up there.
So who took the shot of it with the gun missing? After she removed it?
A cop. No, yeah, a cop. Someone has been in film that showed the gun there.
Well, that doesn't prove that she moved it. Anyone could have moved it at any time.
I think they're just trying to use the technology to back this up, to give us a visual of what happened.
Okay. Anyway, yeah, there's no footage of her actually retrieving the gun, just the before and the after.
And they have got the real gun with all the ballistics and what have you.
Yeah, but it doesn't have her fingerprints, obviously, but they can match it to the killing.
Yeah.
She knew to get the other one, so that connects her to that.
At this point, I think she's quite relieved. Well, actually, she's not relieved.
No, she's specifically not relieved.
But she's happy to admit it. We've got a clip.
I see.
I'm sure you do, ma'am.
It's very odd. They say there's a great sense of relief that comes when something like this is over. I don't feel that at all. Quite the opposite. Will you be taking me?
Yes, ma'am, into town. After that,
After that, I think I know what will happen. I'll fight. I'll survive. I might even win.
It's the premise that we always put when we're doing these season reviews.
Yes.
What if they wouldn't back down? And here we've got it.
Mm-hmm.
She's not confessing to anything here,
No.
just because he thinks he's got her.
And Columbo doesn't argue.
Yeah.
He knows that, and the court, it's a fair fight.
Yeah. Did you see the fantastic touch right at the end of the episode?
Mm-hmm. The episode ends with Columbo pressing a button and the blip cue comes onto the screen.
Onto the Columbo screen. Yeah.
I enjoyed that. It was a nice little touch, wasn't
I
it?
like that, yep. A good episode, like I say, very reminiscent in places of Double Exposure.
Mm-hmm.
But nicely done, nice characters, liked the characterisation. There wasn't anyone that was overly two-dimensional.
Yep, the only weakness was the padding. The number of scenes.
It didn't need to be an hour and 40 minutes.
We could have got this down to the 73-minute mark, which we love.
Or somewhere in between, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Killer, like I said, reminded me of Lee Grant.
Mm-hmm.
And also of Lady in Waiting, Beth Chadwick.
Yes.
I'm giving you one character name and one actress name, but you know,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about.
I know. We all know what you're talking about, Ian.
I thought she was a nicely written character, and I thought the actress did a good job with her.
Yes, I agree. I'm glad you enjoyed it. A little bit of production information.
Okay.
25th of February 1978 at the 100-minute mark as discussed.
Okay.
James Frawley was the director, and this is his second of 6, the first being Try and Catch Me. So we've
That was good
discussed
as well.
that. Yeah. Robert Blees was the writer. He died in 2015, aged 96. Known for Project UFO, Airwolf, High School Confidential, Magnificent Obsession. He wrote an unsold pilot called The Hunters, which starred Guy Stockwell, brother of Dean, who we've met twice before,
Right.
and Brett Halsey.
That's a familiar name.
He was a golf pro in...
Was the golf pro not
Robert
in Robert Culp
Yes.
episode? So it would be Crucial Game.
No, the first Robert Culp one.
Well, so it would be Death Lends a Hand.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. That's a long time ago.
Yeah. A little bit of trivia.
Sure.
Don't have too much. And the reason we've not mentioned the actress who played Kay is because it's tied into the bit of trivia I do have. So she was played by Trish Van Devere.
Not a familiar name to me.
No, born in 1943. Not a massive career, but best known for perhaps a role in Where's Poppa, who also starred Ruth Gordon. She was also in One Life to Live and The Changeling. But she was married to a very famous actor.
Was she?
Mm-hmm. And the actor actually appeared in this episode. So before Columbo started messing around with the graphics and that very padded scene, there was a technician who he spoke to.
Yes, like I said, he was trying to get background on Kate.
Yes. Now that technician was uncredited, And I think he may have done this just as a favour to be working alongside his wife, because Trish Van Devere was married to George C. Scott, who is a very famous actor, as you know.
Yeah.
He died in 1999, aged 71. Most famously known for his roles in Doctor Strangelove, Patton, The Hustler, and The Changeling. So perhaps that's where, I'm not sure if he met his wife on that,
Could be.
that movie or not. He was 4-time Oscar nominated with 1 win, 5 times Golden Globe nominated with 1 win, 8 Emmy nominations with 2 wins, and 2 BAFTA nominations.
Well, that's impressive.
Will we go on to the episode review?
I think it's about time for that.
Motive.
Revenge.
Revenge for not just not getting the job, but for feeling
Being
used
outplayed.
and belittled. So, yeah.
It's
pretty
not
straight-
a sympathetic motive.
No, it's not, but it's reasonably straightforward.
Yeah.
Clues. Glasses on the head. Her promotion. Mark's verbal instructions. Why Mark did not promote her himself. The car registration plate. Her lying about the relationships. The blazer. The gun, obviously. Anything else?
Did you see the glove?
Forgot the glove?
Yeah.
Yep. So the glove being found.
That was... Yeah, and the suicide, Walter spotting the suicide. Walter spotting the suicide.
Yes. The cut, the time
The
of
professional.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, they gotcha.
She doesn't concede the gotcha, obviously.
She doesn't, she's going to fight this.
The fake gun was the big one.
Yeah, so let's think. She's shot with a glove on. So the glove was found to have
Powder burn.
powder burns, but how do we... Now, going back to
Fingerprints from the
troubled
inside,
waters.
is it?
Yes. So if there are if there are fingerprints that can be retrieved, then that's a pretty much an opening shut case. They've got the murder weapon and the fingerprints on.
Yeah, there's no suggestion of that, though.
Well, why wouldn't there be? If we know that there are fingerprints in latex gloves, we have to assume there are fingerprints in latex gloves.
Maybe they couldn't recover them. Maybe there was some reason. Maybe she had some kind of substance in her fingers or something that we don't see.
Yeah. It really does depend on that, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah, if they don't have the fingerprints, I don't see how they can say it was definitely her.
No, they've not sort of...
They can say she knew about the gun being in the lift. That again, someone could have told her about that. Doesn't mean to say she fired it.
No, but you'd have to ask in a murder investigation of a colleague why she would hide and take the gun.
Yeah, there's a narrative.
explanation.
You can build a narrative that suggests that she did it, and it would be hard for her to refute.
Yeah, I think all the little things really don't look too good.
Again, it's a circumstantial case, but it's a strong circumstantial case.
Yeah. Yeah.
She had the means, the opportunity, the motive.
She was lying an awful lot.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good for her.
She's in trouble, but she's going to fight.
Yep.
And like she says, she might even win.
She might. Depends, I think, if the studio decide to provide her with financial backing for the top lawyers.
Well, I'm not sure if they're covered for that by their insurance.
Yeah, but they might want to,
It might be, I suppose it might be better for them if she wasn't the one that did it.
Yeah, save embarrassment or save face.
Could be.
So who knows. But all in all, another very enjoyable episode, I think.
Yeah, it's been a good run in this season so far.
Very strong season, and it shows no sign of letting up.
2 more episodes to go
Is
before
that all?
the 70s are wrapped.
And we have our 10-year break.
Yeah.
Wonder what podcasting will be like when we return.
Who knows? I think it'll all be like in your brain before you even have to download it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, you do not want to get into your brain, Ian.
No, you don't want to get in my brain, you'll get lost.
Yeah, and jailed.
There's actually an episode of Deep Space Nine about that.
Is there?
Yeah, let's not get into that.
No. So, next week, how to dial a murder.
Okay. Not dial M for murder.
Not dial M for murder, starring
Sure, that's what you do, just dial M.
Yeah.
That's how you dial a murder.
So, yeah, that's what we've got coming up next week.
Okay.
I think that's us.
Yep, we'll look forward to that one. As usual, thanks to everybody for contributing. Everything very much appreciated. As usual, if you can help us out on iTunes, it'll go down very well with us, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye-bye.
Cheerio.
You have been listening to the Columbo podcast from Heard Yet Media.